Hello, we have a new filing that came out, and this one is a self-regulatory organization update for the Options Clearing Corporation. And this one is an order instituting proceedings to determine whether to approve or disapprove a proposed rule change as modified by partial amendment number 1 by the Options Clearing Corporation to establish a margin add-on charge that would be applied to all clearing member accounts to help mitigate the risk arising from intraday and overnight trading activity. So the overnight trading activity, in 2022, the origin of this came in the curb trading session, originally brought out by the CBOE exchange, which essentially is an overnight market. From I forget the exact hours, but it's the overnight market. We've seen overnight markets come up on Robinhood. Weevil starting to offer it now. So this is one of those mitigating factors as far as risk is concerned. It gives you some insight as to how the Options Clearing Corporation handles that internally. So essentially, on July 25th, 2024. The proposed rule change SR OCC 2024-010 was filed, and that filing was basically filed to establish a margin add-on charge that would be applied to all clearing members' accounts to assist with mitigating these risks from the overnight trading activity, as previously mentioned. The rule change was published for public comment on August 12th, and on September 4th, a OCC amended the proposed rule change to include as Exhibit 2 and an information memorandum that OCC published on its website. And it provided the details of the margin add-on charge. And then they have a reference to this. It came in the info memo. Y'all in the Discord, it should be available. This memo should have came out automatically via RSS feed. But essentially, the summary of this change, a little insight as to what OCC is if you don't know. They are a central clearing counterparty, which means that as part of its function as a clearing agency, it interposes itself as the buyer to every seller and the seller to every buyer for certain financial transactions. As the CCP for the listed options market in the United States, as well as for certain futures and stock loans, OCC has exposed certain risks arising from providing clearing and settlement services to its clearing members. Now, because OCC is obligated to perform on the contracts it clears, even where one of its clearing members defaults, one such risk to which OCC is expected or is exposed to credit or is credit risk in the form of exposure to a clearing member's trading activities. So the trading activities expose the OCC to credit risk, and they manage this risk in part by collecting collateral from its clearing members in the form of margin, which may include certain add-on charges designed to address specific risks. So at the beginning of each day, they collect this required margin for each marginable account, which is calculated by OCC's proprietary system for theoretical analysis and numerical simulation, or STANS methodology. And based on the account's end-of-day positions from the previous business day, that is what they're basing this STANS model off of. They also have broad authority to require additional margin deposits. They're pretty much just saying that they're justifying the reasoning for this approval. It says when unrealized losses exceed a certain threshold of an account's total risk charges during standard trading hours or extended trading hours, they have the authority to require this additional margin. Since these margin collection processes were established, OCC observed a significant increase in the volume of contracts it clears, particularly of short-dated options, including those on the day of their expiration. So essentially they're saying, because of all the zero DTE degenerates, this is another factor as to why they're doing this. The proliferation of SDOs and zero DTE options has increased OCC's exposure to risks from its clearing members' intraday and ETH trading activity. OCC collects margin at the start of each business day using the STANS margin calculation, which is based on the end-of-day positions from the previous day, as stated before. This margin collection does not account for overnight trading activity, nor does it encompass intraday trading activity, including any possible increases in the clearance of SDOs or zero DTE options. Although OCC's current portfolio reevaluation process captures changes related to price movements, it does not capture the intraday credit risk related to position changes that exist between the point of margin collection at the beginning of each day and the point of margin collection at the beginning of the next business day, resulting in a margin requirement that may not be sufficient to cover any additional risk arising from intraday trading activity during the trading session. So this is all about them tightening up their risk. And those of you thinking that we have any bearing on the market when it comes to a price perspective, that is not the case. We are a risk. Retail is a risk. All of this zero DTE trading increases risk. The buying itself isn't the risk. It's the effects on the market mechanics that's the risk. Now, to help address such risk, they propose to implement a margin add-on, the intraday risk charge, and monitoring and escalation criteria to facilitate margin calls for any clearing member whose intraday activity exceeds certain thresholds relative to its intraday risk charge. The monitoring, escalation, and calculation of this charge will be conducted through OCC's current watch level surveillance system, which is governed by OCC's third-party risk management framework, which, super note here, refers you to a Securities and Exchange Act release back in 2020, if you would like to find out more detail as to their third-party risk management framework. Now, the reason why they're instituting proceedings to determine whether this should be approved or not is because they feel it is appropriate at this time in view of the legal and policy issues raised by the proposed rule change. Institution of proceedings does not indicate that the Commission has reached any conclusions with respect to any issues involved. Rather, the Commission seeks and encourages interested persons to comment on the proposed rule change, providing the Commission with arguments to support the Commission's analysis as to whether to approve or disapprove this change. So again, if you're wanting to comment, you have anything to say on this, I would recommend doing it. It's how to get your voice heard regarding these rule changes. So just keep that in mind. And then you get some insights onto different rules and what they mean down here. Like Section 17A, B3E requires, among other things, that the rules of a clearing agency do not impose any schedule of prices or fixed rates or other fees for services rendered by its participants, and then other rule definitions here. But basically, that's it. They're just updating the risk management protocol, giving reasons why they're doing it. It's for the overnight and zero DTE trading activity, which exposes them to more risk. So anyways, that's what I got for you. Have a good one.